Winter is upon us, and with the change in weather comes the flu and other viruses. So here to help us tackle them is consultant pediatrician at Clemenceau Medical Center, Dr. Evelyne Khoriaty. Thanks so much for joining us tonight, Doctor. What are the most common illnesses that we're seeing around this time of year?
So now that the schools have reopened, we're seeing a surge in illnesses, especially that anyways a lot of these illnesses tend to thrive during the winter and the fall season, and because of the proximity in classrooms, that creates a niche for these viruses to even get more contagious and to spread further. So thankfully, most of the illnesses that we're seeing are due to viruses and not bacteria, which is more reassuring. Some of them are affecting the respiratory system, such as the influenza, the COVID virus that we all know about and that is still present, and the RSV virus, and also the common cold. So a lot of these viruses cause a cough, runny nose, fever, stuffy nose, and some decrease in the kids' appetite. And some of them do affect the GI system or the digestive system. So these kids present with vomiting, diarrhea, decreased appetite, and also sometimes fever. And yeah.
We are hearing more lately about hand, foot, and mouth disease, and this virus is very easily spread just through simple coughs and sneezes. Is its prevalence increasing in the UAE?
Actually, this is a virus that we see every year, but this year specifically, we're seeing more and more of these cases. So if I want to choose one virus that I see most commonly in my clinic at CMC, I would definitely pick the hand, foot, and mouth disease. It's definitely a winner. So it sounds worse than it actually is, but it's a benign and very common childhood disease. So typically, it does affect children below 5 years of age, but we can see it sometimes in older kids and in adolescents, and very, very rarely in adults. So as the name says, you're going to have rash all over the body, but more specifically on the hands, feet, and mouth. And those rashes consist of blisters. These blisters usually are not very itchy or painful, except if they are present in the mouth. And this is when the kid has irritability, decreased oral intake, and this is when we advise parents to give plenty of fluids and some fever and pain control. Typically, it is very contagious. So we tell them to stay at home for at least 5 to 7 days. And then this is when the rash will stop being contagious and they can go back to nursery.
So what advice can you give to parents about common school illnesses in particular? I mean, how can they protect their children from getting sick?
Well, yeah, that's a very good question. My advice goes to all parents, but I think more specifically to new parents, because these are the ones who are the most overwhelmed by all the severity and frequency of illnesses since they're not really used to it. So the reality is every kid and every child has to go through this period of illnesses, even though no parent obviously wants to see their kids suffer or have any sort of pain, but this is the only way we can build our immune system. So when you get infections, this is how the immune system gets robust, and you can fight infections when you're older. So on the good side, though, most of these infections are very benign, like I said initially, and they don't leave a lot of complications, and they don't necessitate also a lot of, these kind of aggressive treatment or aggressive investigations.
So reassuring. Thank you so much for that. Consultant pediatrician at Clemenceau Medical Center, Dr. Evelyne Khoriaty.
Thanks for having me.